damn it. So here's what we did. I just took and cut these guys. I have one of those little slide cutting board things. So we just measured out. This is 2 5/8, and we put our lines on either side. And that way, when it's flat, you know it's straight. And then we have a nice line. We'll just use the inside of that line there to cut it all the way around and clean it up, weld it back together. So we need to make one datum line, I guess you'd call it, across on either side, which doesn't take a lot of precision. It's just that those two have to marry up when you line them together. But we'll do that. We'll take our center drill and we'll drill a spot on either side. We'll take our true measurements so we can determine what we had before and after and do the math on either side. And yeah, so that's it. So what we did here is we just made a line, and then I took the angle grinder and I just put a little divot on the line on either side so we'll be able to line those back up. Right here you can see where I hit it with a punch and then just got it with the center drill a little bit. And what that does is it gives us repeatable, can I see? It gives us repeatable numbers. So we can take our calipers, set them in those divots, and we'll get the same number every time within probably a half thou or a thou. So we got 4.1785, and then we'll write that down, and then we'll measure it after we weld it again to ensure that we know what we actually took out of it. And they said they only need to be within an eighth of an inch. That's 0.125, so that we can get it within a few thou. Then we're going to be able to give those guys good information they'll be able to use to trim those things down. So this guy's laid out. All we got to do, what I'm going to do is just cut this guy off, and then I'll come in with the angle grinder and just cut inside that line on that side. Probably do this one in a vise. When I pick it up, oh yeah, that's nice and thick. I was worried that it wouldn't be thick, all that thick. That's good. We can work with that. We can work with that. See how thick and beefy that guy is? Get it nice and flat. We'll put a bevel on that thing. So it's like 1/900 or 90, 0.190, whatever that is. I'm sure there's a fractional equivalent to that, but my brain don't work like that. Oh yeah, so that's good. Good. Beefy. I like it. This is going to work out well. Okay. So on to doing the other side. Same thing. It's the after party. So we got those guys cut off, and then I just cut that guy with the grinder, like you guys saw. I made the line, and I put a bevel. Can you see the bevel? So there's a nice little bevel on this guy. It's pretty thick. You can probably see the bevel better here. Yeah, so it's got a nice little chamfer, bevel, whatever you want to call it. So when we line these guys up, so I got this mark here, and I got that mark there, and we'll just dial those together, and we'll be able to measure between the little dots there and there. And the difference will be how much we took out. So hopefully this side should be about 2.5, and that side should be about 2 5/8. What I'm left to do now is I gotta pop the cover out, and I gotta do my best to clean the inside of these tubes out. I should put like some kind of paper or towel. Probably, like, if I could have put a towel in there and kind of fed it in. And then when I got done doing all this mess, I could have just kind of like coat hooked it and whoop, fished it out. Probably would have pulled the majority of the crap out. That probably would have been the smart thing to do. But hindsight is 20/20, and we're on the hind side of this project. So brake cleaner and toilet brushes, those like bristle brush things. I use those for cleaning all kinds of stuff, the inside of pipes, to knock all the trash and stuff out of them when I'm working on my normal business. So it'll work fine here. We'll just hose these guys out and keep doing that till it's nice and clean. And then we get our bars. We'll get our plastic little pieces pressed in our in-houses, and we'll feed our bars through, and we'll get this guy all lined up, and I'll get you a picture. Probably that'll be next kind of where we come back from. Oh, I'm a mess, huh? I hate grinding. I hate using cutoff wheels, but it was really the best job for this guy here. So when we come back, we'll probably have this guy jigged up and ready to tack up and get welding. All right, I cleaned out the axle, just paper towels, some brake cleaner, and then just like took a microfiber towel, stuck it in there, used the rod and just kind of pushed it through to make sure all the little, you know, fine grinding stuff was out and whatever. So these guys are in our inner races, and they're holding the bar in place now. I'm getting ready to bolt the caps onto those, and then we'll what we'll do is we'll press these guys into the end caps, and that should slide right onto there. So that's how we're looking so far. Not too bad. So there we are. We got this guy located, and we're lined up, and our little dots are there, and yeah, both ends are on. Yeah, so all I have to do now is get this guy welded out. So I'll do that. Basically, I'm just going to tack it, flip it 90 degrees, tack it, and then the same. And then I'll probably do, you know, rotate it 45 degrees, and then do more, do 4 more tacks basically. So every 45 degrees there'll be a tack, and then we'll do a root pass, and then a fill pass, and probably a cap pass. It looks like it's might take a little bit of welding there. It's a pretty deep groove. But yeah, it looks pretty good. I thought, like, hey, maybe this isn't set perfectly, because maybe this side here looks like it's a little bit offset from this side, and I thought maybe, well, maybe the bar's bent a little bit or something. So what I did is I rotated the bar and then clocked everything, and it was all the same. So it could be how it's pressed, and from the factory it looks like these ends were kind of rolled and pressed. It could be how the flange sat. Maybe it wasn't all that perfect from the factory to begin with, which is kind of what I would bet, because they're just basically slamming those ends on, running a MIG bead, and that's about it. I don't think there's a lot of I don't know that they're down to the fine thousandths and tenths of thousandths of inches. But I'm rambling now, so I'm just I'm making my excuses, just setting up the excuse train, so if it all goes horribly wrong, I can blame it on something besides myself. Yeah, but you know, I posted this up on Facebook yesterday. It was just kind of fun just to see, you know, what people would think, because I figure most people would think I'm crazy trying to use plastic to do this. And most people did, but there's also people who thought, like, hey, it's kind of cool, you know, give it a try, see if it works. Worst case scenario is we just, you know, cut those things off and buy a jig from one of those fancy things. They have some on eBay that were like not bad, like $150, but you got to supply your own bar. And I was tempted to buy one. Not that I wouldn't do this anyway, because I want to see how this pans out. But it was set for like a 1 1/4 inch bar, and I bought a 1 1/2 inch bar, and I don't want to have to take them over to my buddy's lathe and machine them out and just blah 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 blah. So bottom line is, you know, if this goes horribly wrong, we just cut them off and re-weld them back on. Not a big deal. But I think this will go well. I've seen people just do it with C-clamps, you know, or C-channel, and it works fine for them. I've seen people just, you know, MIG weld it and whatever. So I'm not too terribly worried about it. But let's get to welding. That, kids, is what happens when you don't hit your ground up. Take two. Okay, in the time that, so you guys saw I did this guy and it was like 4 tacks, and I was having trouble because my clamp was falling off because I didn't have any place to really hook it, which has to do with laziness. I should have cleaned off a spot where I can clamp it to, but I can clamp it to this guy. So I thought, like, it's like maybe, hey, I can just I'll just clamp it to this and I'll use a little copper wire to come over to here to this clean spot and let it ground out in the clean spot, because that wasn't tacked on, so it couldn't go through. So once I got the 4 tacks, I wanted to put 8, but once I got the 4 tacks on this side, then I was able to just move the ground strap over here, clamp it to that guy, and it stayed on. And I got all 8 tacks on this guy. And here's my hand. I just finished welding it, and I can put my hand on it and leave it on. Now you got to remember that the PLA melts at, I think it's 190-ish Celsius. So that's the magic number for us. If we never get over 190 Celsius, then we don't have any issues. Now, we are all tacked up, so I could, in theory, just yank those ends out and weld it out with them. But I don't think that's gonna be a problem. So I think what I can do is just be careful about what I'm doing here. Let's see, what are we at? So that's 91 degrees. It's like the high at 97. The back of the ground strap's pretty warm. It's like 104. What is that Celsius? So that's at 39 Celsius. So 39 Celsius is pretty far off from 190 Celsius. So yeah, I think we're gonna be fine. I'm gonna go ahead and just I'm just gonna go ahead and start running beads on this side over here instead of tacking it up. Just run it. Let's just run it. Get it done. In case you guys were wondering, I'm at 150 amps, which is probably about 20 amps or so. Probably more than what you need, I would guess. Probably 120, 130-ish, around there. You should be fine. But that way I got more power if I need it, which is nice. I managed to get this guy in one pass when I started welding. It just I just pushed a little extra filler in there. It felt good, got it nice and flush all the way around. Felt like a good weld. Was welding nice and clean, no problems really, other than when it fell over, and just position it. You know, if you had a buddy to help you with this thing, it'd be like a million times easier, because you could just say like, hey, twist it 25, 45 degrees or whatever. And yeah, but I have no friends. Nobody loves me. Not even my dogs will hang out. Just Bob. Bob is my only friend. And you can't come in here because it's hot and I don't want to leave the door open. So yeah, let's get the other side done and we'll be done. It's amazing how fast the miles still pull down. When I first put the gun on it, it was at 190 degrees right at the weld, and it's already 70, down to 70 degrees. That's Celsius, mind you. Look at that, huh? Now, I made the inner diameter of the ends a little bit smaller than the inside, about a thou. That's cool. Okay, so here is the results. So that worked real nice. The only part that got burnt was the inside, and that's fine because it's still nice and round. Everywhere else, the parts that actually get held in the bearings, this gets pressed in, so it sits about like that. So that was a part that was actually protruding where the weld was going to be, and I just added that extra length to. I figure the more length we have across the bar, the more likely it is to keep it straight, all the way across. And it had like about a foot, about 3 inches each piece. So 3, 6, 9, 12, yeah, a foot of actual contact with the bar straight across to keep the ends where they need to be. So, yeah, I feel good, feel confident. I really thought these guys would end up melting that here, which had me, once you got the tacks on, I feel like it's pretty much done. Yeah, it held up just fine. So plastic, 3D printed, check that out. Now what I did do was I used my little, you guys saw my little Milwaukee fan. It blows pretty good, and I just use it to cool take the weld back down. When I checked the end one on here, I ran that side in a little hotter, had a bit of a wider gap, so I ran it in a little bit hotter to make sure we had good, fusion and penetration. And when I got the gun on it, now this is Celsius, it was like at 220-ish at the weld. So heat will localize in mild still, and it's actually pretty easy to get it out of there with something, just like a fan, something blow some air across it. Does a pretty good job. So I already ordered our bearings and seals from Jegs, and our differential fluid and a little bit of slip additive, and now I can measure for the axles, and I can get those in order too, and we will be narrowed and be ready to get back on the road, get this thing back in there. Yeah, it'll be exciting to actually be able to fit some tires underneath this thing, and see what we can do with a little bit of traction. So anyway, I have no reason to think this won't work. If it does, of course I'll make a follow-up to it once I get on the road, and I don't want you doing this or trying this if it's not going to work. I do, and I know it. I'm not the best welder in the world, but I'm proficient at it. So I got in there hot and went around pretty quick. I wasn't just hanging out and burning the hell out of it and cooking it. If you're not up to snuff on your welding, then you should go check out my How to TIG Weld video series and get yourself up to snuff, because it's a great skill set to have, and you can apply it to all kinds of situations to get yourself out of all kinds of disasters. I have. Is that, if your only tool's a hammer, well, if you're a welder, then everything looks like it can be welded. So, but if you're not, then, I think you could have a problem with this and heating it up and it's, sagging. It could be a problem. So I would say, make friends with somebody that does know how to weld well, and maybe let them do it. But yeah, we'll get those axles ordered up tomorrow. Excited, and start getting this thing back together. Man, I'm kind of happy. I've been dreading doing this for quite some time. But it's made a fun little project. So yeah, until next time, this is Mike, Monkey Fab. Go check out my website. It's monkeyfabgarage.com. All kinds of goodies there. T-shirts, $15, but more importantly, fabrication stuff to make badass turbo cars, and plumbing and AM fittings and bungs and everything you guys might need at really low prices too. I don't make, you can see I'm pretty broke, I stay broke because I keep my prices low and pass that on to you guys. So I appreciate when you guys do buy from me. It means a lot. So monkeyfabgarage.com, go check it out. And until next time, this is Mike from Monkey Fab signing out.